Think.
Oh my God, did it ever?
They locked
Yeah,
down
'cause
his
they,
account.
yeah, and then they found out they were totally messing with the wrong guy.
Yeah, it was his own damn song. It had nothing to do with Carrie Underwear, but they locked down his page. He couldn't upload music. He couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
I think sometimes those bots will look for like certain chord progressions or something within a song, and if it sounds familiar to another song, they'll just
Could be.
they'll nail it that way.
That's just scary.
It is, because I mean, and there's so many different songs with the same type of chord progressions. It sounds, you know, sounds very familiar with each other, but that's a stupid way of doing it.
Well, yeah. I mean, it really is. Because it's not a perfect system, and it does have faults. And I'm thinking something like that's probably what happened to Willie.
Probably. But it's
Wow.
a pain in the ass if you have to go to court just to find out.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know what's interesting? These takedown notices on YouTube. The way I'm understanding this, YouTube, if they get a notice that there's a copyright infringement, if they take down the video or, you know, rip the sound from it, okay, if it's a music thing, once they do that, they're cool because they fall under safe harbor. Well, there is nothing to prevent, say, Warner Music or whoever, to go a step farther and take legal action against the individual who uploaded it. I've not heard of any cases where they have done that,
Right.
but it's my understanding that under the law they can.
Right. Mr. Chaotic 247, my good friend Mike, also brought up another precedent. When Vanilla Ice redid Under Pressure by Queen Ice Ice Baby, he changed one note in the song to avoid the copyright. And I believe he also kind of changed the guitar riff slightly as well. And didn't that go to court? And didn't they have to pay a fine? Rob, you might remember that.
Yeah, I remember. I don't remember the court case itself, but I remember the way they changed the song.
I'd have to do some research, but I think they had to pay like 500,000 or something. I think they did, Kevin. I think they did settle.
Wow.
And this was in the late 80s, early 90s. Which I would like to note for the record that Vanilla Ice's later stuff, when he got into the hard rock and stuff, was a hell of a lot better than his rap ever could have been. But anyway, one of his songs, he used like the beginning of Queen's Under Pressure in the beginning of Ice Ice Baby. And it ended up being, they ended up, I do believe they settled, but that ended up in court, copyright infringement.
You know, Jack, nowadays they call that sampling, of different songs.
Yeah?
Where you take a portion of somebody's song and you sample it and remake a song of your own out of it. I mean, I believe they're licensing for that now. You know, it's to avoid the copyright, you know, going to court over copyrights. But I'm not sure what they charge for the licenses, or, you know, for just a few seconds of sampling like that.
Right.
But that's a whole new business now with sampling. A lot of rappers do that.
Okay, apparently Willie got bounced out and came back. I got a post here. It's a PM from him saying it was Night of the Living Dead, 1968.
He just posted that in the chat as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that I think would still be under copyright.
Night of the Living Dead, I would think so. 68, okay, 78, 88, 98, 2008, that's 42 years ago.
Yeah, that's not long enough.
Yeah. Yeah,
Sincerely.
that could be. Honestly, whoever listed that under public domain, Willie, is probably was misinformed.
Oh, big time.
Yeah,
so of course, under safe harbor, all YouTube has to do is take down the video, and they're covered. And again, this is one of the few cases where DMCA actually works like it's supposed to. as long as it's not false takedown notices, which could
Well,
happen here.
You know what? The only thing Willie could do in that event is, I mean, he could try and sue YouTube for if it was on YouTube under public domain, right?
Theoretically, but it wouldn't even be a lawsuit. He could challenge it because the takedown notice was.
Is it a Warner movie, Willie? Night of the Living Dead?
Could be.
But Warner would still have the right to sue him. That's the problem.
Right. Well, you know, when you get a takedown on YouTube, from what I understand, is that it's all automated stuff. So really, what you would need to do would just simply, if you disagree with it, you challenge it, and that's probably the first time a live human being actually even looks at it to make the determination. And then there's a series of steps that progresses from there. If you challenge the takedown, YouTube has to put it back up under DMCA. Warner would have a period of time in which to respond to it. Then it could end up in court from there.
Well, the only other defense he has is that it wasn't a willful infringement. He actually thought it was public domain.
Right.
Yeah,
So
but
it
legally,
wasn't a willful infringement.
Yeah, but legally you have to do your homework.
you have to go through the Copyright Office and pay them, or
Well,
go
that's
to
what-
research it yourself.
That's what Warner's lawyers would argue.
Yep.
Yeah,
That you didn't go out of your way to check.
yeah. Who listed it as public domain? Was that on a website? It said it was public domain.
Which Kevin brings up a good point. Due diligence. What we were talking about earlier with Creative Commons. You would also, even though somebody will tell you their music is all over, is licensed under Creative Commons, you would still have to do your due diligence to make sure that it is their music, that it is, the Creative Commons license is valid. Same kind of thing. You would have to do your due diligence to make sure that you were covered in that it is not a cover song, that they aren't, et cetera, et cetera. You couldn't just take somebody's word for it. When they say it's licensed under Creative Commons. Okay,
Yeah.
Mike found out more about the Vanilla Ice thing. It never went to trial, although rumor has it the copyright holders of Under Pressure threatened suit settled with Vanilla out of court for undisclosed sum. I was watching on a TV show. I think that was to the tune of $400,000 or $500,000. It was not a large sum of money, at least as far as the record industry goes. I mean, that'd be a nice princely sum for us. But what do we? We're just peons, right? Willie, I don't know. Because you just got to take down, you have nothing further to worry about unless you want that movie put back up. Due diligence is like Deb said, you probably would need to go through the Copyright Office and you would probably have to pay them a fee.
Yeah, and I looked into this one time, and it's not cheap.
No, it's really not. Because you figure you got some bureaucrat opening up a file folder that's probably got about 30 pounds of dust on it.
Well, they probably got some little bimbo that makes minimum wage, but...
You're right, they probably do. Hey, Rob, we'll get her number if we find out who it is, okay?
Yeah. And she probably doesn't notarize anything either.
Certainly not any legal documents.
Oh, hell no.
No. No. Wow.
Interesting. It's interesting you would pop in tonight, Willie, while we're talking about copyright stuff. Good point,
Well,
Kev, but
no,
they
what
could
they
take
could
all the
do-
future blood from the future rocks is what they would end up doing.
They can slap liens on your ass to the point you would never own anything for the rest of your life. And from what I'm reading about these entities, they don't hesitate. Hell, the RIAA went after a dead woman.
Right. Now,
They
as far
went
as,
after a homeless guy. What the
Right.
hell are they going to get out of him?
I bet she didn't show up for court.
I bet you didn't.
What was really disgusting about it, her daughter had sent them a copy of her death certificate.